Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good night, whichever it is. Welcome to the Building Sheriffs podcast. I am Paul Puccioni, otherwise known as Pooch, and with me is my old mate, Chris E.W. Jowett. Now, today we are going to be talking about the 10 most profitable jobs for builders. Now, that's not the most expensive jobs for you. This is the jobs that the builders like doing because they earn the most dough. And there are a few reasons for that, and we'll go into them. But first, let me say a very big hello to old EW. How are you, Chris?
Well, I'm not worthy of that fantastic intro, mate. That's for dead certain. How am I? It's
Really?
Sunday morning. I'm not allowed my usual Sunday morning treat, and I'm talking breakfast here. So I've had 2 slices of limp toast. So how am I?
Right.
I'm feeling deficient, mate.
Right, you're hungry.
Yeah.
Assurient.
Assurient. Now, there's a word
Yeah, assurient. It's a word you haven't heard
Never.
since the cheese sketch of Monty Python.
Oh, really? It was included in that. Is that when you first learned it? And of
It
course,
was.
being you've never forgotten it, of course.
No. So what you been up to?
Well, recently my main project at the moment is was seeking out, purchasing, receiving, and entering information into a little digital voice recorder, so I can learn Portuguese, mate.
Oh, how's that going?
It's much easier for me now. Now I've got my little magic machine, because it means when I go for my walks, when I visit a certain room for half an hour or so every morning, I just turn this thing on, and it repeats hundreds of Portuguese words to me without me having to remember my glasses or read them through, because all the pronunciations are correct. So now I'm being intravenously fed Portuguese at every possible occasion, mate.
Now, Chris, all I can say to that is welcome to the 1990s.
The 1990s.
Yeah, that's what it is, getting a dictaphone, even the 80s, but yours is digital, so let's say 1990s. Welcome to the 1990s. You have an iPad, there are now apps that will cost next to nothing, that will pre-programmed, they'll teach you everything, you can have them with you as you go along, it's downloaded.
Oh, yeah.
But no, welcome to the 1990s. How's it feel?
Well, yeah, but tell you what, mate, I can't take my iPad with me because it's made of glass on a bloody wall. Where am I going to put it, So, no, I need this little thing is about 3 inches long and an inch any other way you want to look at it. It weighs nothing and just goes in my top pocket and just talks to me as I'm walking, which is good because no other bugger does.
No, I mean, again, welcome to the 1990s. We all have smartphones, Chris, and everything is stored.
Could yours do that? Your smartphone could.
Of course it can.
Could it?
Of course it can.
Could it?
Chris, anything your iPad can do, my iPhone can do, and more. It has, it can do everything that your iPad can do and make phone calls. So yes, I would have my app on my phone. I'd put some headphones on. My wife's going off running now, and she's going to be listening to a podcast on her iPhone as she runs. So yes, of course it can do it. The only thing it can't do is make a decent phone call, as you well know. It just cuts out all the time.
Yeah. Yes, it is. This is iPhones. Yeah. Because you tried to phone me on some strange internet system, and the one thing your phone's supposedly designed for, it doesn't do, does it, Pooh?
No, exactly. My old man's finally out of hospital after 6 weeks.
That's a long time, isn't it? Mind you, he's 80, but good news, mate.
Yeah, no, abscess on the appendix, not nice, with lots of infections. I think it's time we moved on to the main topic of the podcast. Welcome back to the Building Sheriffs podcast. If you're still here after that story of road rage or whatever it was, drug rage, I do not know. But we are here to discuss, and this might be quite interesting, viewers, which jobs builders actually they like doing because they are so profitable. Now, I'm not talking about the most expensive jobs, obviously an extension or building your entire house. But, for example, putting a slate on a roof will take a guy half an hour and he'll charge you 80 quid. Thank you very much. And we've got all this information on our website, www.buildingsheriff.com. Right, Chris, I have our article. And so I'm going to pull it up, and it's buildingsheriff.com, and it is most profitable jobs. Now, I might go through these and then get your opinion on them.
Because I haven't seen that article for 2 years probably, so it'll all be news to me, mate.
Okay, and these are in no particular order, but they're loosely based on what you can think, well, the builder is going to charge me a pretty penny for this. And number one, as you've all guessed, is roofing. I mean, any kind of roofing, re-roof, just popping a slate back on. It's dangerous, and it means that you are not going to do it, dear viewer, and you won't ever see what's going on. So what do you think about that, Chris? It's true, isn't it?
I diversified into roofing from general building.
You did, yes.
For that very reason. Not to make more money, because I don't think I did, but simply because the bloody punter, I'm afraid, wasn't going to come up the ladder and constantly pester the what's name out of me, to see how the job was going along, and give me advice, and even worse, try and help
with that orange hammer.
Yeah.
From B&Q.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, that's one of the points, isn't it? Yep. That you stick your ladder up, you tie your ladder onto the eaves, or even if you've got scaffolding, you've got a bloody great scaffolder's ladder, which they are long, going up with scaffolding, and that most customers, quite rightly, do not want to go up to see what's going on. Now, back in the day, obviously no one had camera phones, so you couldn't take a photo of what was going on. So, I mean, that's a tip. Any decent builder should say, right, that's what I need doing. But regardless, it's going to cost you, because the guys are up at 25 feet and it's dangerous.
Yep. But I mean, it is dangerous if you're an idiot, but it's not. I mean, I've done stupid things up on roofs, I mean, I remember one job I had my brother lower me out of a Velux window, sliding down a slope on the top of a block of flats to fix 3 slates in. No,
yeah.
It was a climbing rope. There was no way I was going to. I was going to fall. He had me, But let's face it. Anyone watching, any old ladies watching, would have had a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, I did a job 2 weeks ago. The customers have had their extractor in their loft conversion. For some reason, I don't know why they do this. They'd piped it out vertically out of the flat roof, which is always asking for problems, as opposed to bringing it along through the roof joists and putting it through the eaves. So you've got a horizontal outlet rather than vertical. Anyway, they'd pointed around it, and anyway, the guy said it had been leaking for 5 years. He wanted to get some scaffolding, which would have been, access was terrible, scaffolding would have been 450, 500 quid, and then that fixed. So I said, well, probably, because I hadn't really looked at the job, I said, I don't know, 750, something like that. Their mates is Joe's friend from work. So I went round. I said, but what I could do is I will pop out the Velux and hop up and take my silicone gun and see if I can fix it. I said, next Saturday, if the weather's nice, I'll do that. And yeah, Saturday Julie came. Weather was great. I leapt out of the Velux, hopped up and onto the flat roof. I was 5 minutes putting silicone, took the old bit of pointing away, silicone round it, and it's good as gold. And I didn't even charge them. But what I'm saying is that when a builder or a roofer does go up on a ladder, they're well within their rights to say, no, I want everything scaffolded. But if they charge a bit more, it's because they're not charging you for scaffolding. So bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 2 here, Chris, plumbing and gas fitters. I mean, these include, there's everything from a tap washer to a boiler change. The plumbers, gas fitter guys, gas safe guys have done courses. This is life-saving stuff. You've got to do the course properly. If any old person went in and made a mistake and there's gas leaks, there's carbon monoxide problems, well, that could kill you. So these guys are entitled to charge.
They are, and they're also entitled to charge, particularly plumbing, because it's a nightmare of a job, is plumbing. I detest plumbing with a vengeance, because nothing, I mean, if you're plastering, then it's right in front of you, the job, Right, you may have to bend down now and again. If you're bricklayer, the job is usually right in front of you until unless you're doing that just above DPC. But when you're plumbing, sometimes you can't even see the damn job. It's always at arm's length. You're lying flat on the ground somewhere in a sweaty old loft covered in insulation. There's horrible vile water running right down your elbow, right down your shoulder and into your underpants. And there's a toilet bowl trying to make love to you 3 feet away. It's a nasty job, is plumbing. These guys deserve to charge, to be honest. It's a horrible job.
To give you an analogy, It's like a circus contortionist practicing their trade in a sewer.
Yeah, that'll do.
It is, isn't it? It is filthy and it is horrible. Yeah, they do, and they need to go gas safe, check their gas safe credentials. But these guys have to do courses, and they pay to be able to go to work.
Yeah.
They don't get paid to do this. You know, you go to your job and you get paid at the end of it. And if you go on a course, the company usually pays for it. Well, these plumbers say, right, I'm going to become gas safe registered, and they'll pay their $2 or $3 grand, whatever it is, and that's an investment in themselves. So
I do believe that's $2 or $3 grand a year as well, isn't it, Pooch?
It is.
Yeah, every year, 2,000 or 3,000 quid.
Number 3, Chris, and this is a hilarious one. It just makes me laugh all the time when we get the guys in window replacement. UPVC windows in and out.
Yes, I know. Takes about two guys can do it in an hour.
Yeah,
mind you, you've got to have been along previously and measured it up and whatever. But yeah, sometimes you could just push a window straight into the garden, put the new window in right up against the old plasterwork, and put a bit of silicone around the front, and literally your engine hasn't cooled down by the time you've gone.
We're talking about an old window, be it sash window, whatever, crittle window, and you want your replacement windows. You've had Ted Molt around, one for the teenagers, and you think, right, we'll get a new window there, and the guy will have measured it up. Yes, he will get it made up in a factory. The guy in the factory will sell him at a certain price, and he'll sell the window. Not only will he make a lot of money on installing it, he'll make money on the window, so it's double bubble, as we say in the trade. And he'll rip the old one out, and they don't have to worry about lintels or supporting anything, because that's already been done for them with the previous window. So, as Chris said, 4 to 6 screws, some silicone, and hey presto, loads of cash.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. He might have to go to the tip.
Now, wait a minute. Now, you mentioned Ted Molt, all right, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which is a blast from the past.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Yes, he did top himself.
Oh, no, did he? I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a blast. Yeah, Ted Molt topped himself.
What you say blast, he shot himself?
Yeah, he did.
Did he, by God? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, yes, I wasn't going to say that at all. Sorry.
Well, bring up Barry Bucknell.
Yes, but I don't think... he didn't shoot himself as well, did he?
No, he didn't.
Let's face it, we don't know. So you got Ted Molt, Barry Bucknell, and who was that? Oh, Percy Thrower. They were all the original 3 blokes on the telly, weren't they, from the 50s and 60s, doing practical things.
Jack Hargreaves.
But he didn't do anything. He just
out of town.
Out of town, did he?
Yeah, he was in his shed and he was fixing things and trying this and doing that. No.
Anyway, the reason I brought this up, or stop you when you mentioned Ted Molt, is because I'm going to read out one of my quiz questions. And the reason I'm reading it out is because it helps if you're 60 years old when you're going to, when you're answering these questions, and you're not. So let's see if you can answer this one, all right? You may have...
So viewers, I'm currently, I've been asked 2 questions and I've got 2 wrong. Not even close because I'm not old enough. Chris did these questions for his local village hall quiz where the average, he's 67 and he brings the average age down considerably when he goes in. Go on, Ed.
Right. Question 3. This comedic pre-war singer from Lancashire made a fortune playing his instrument almost under his chin. Every now and again, he would interrupt one of his funny songs to comment on how pleasant the weather was. How would he describe the weather?
Well, I think we're talking George Formby, probably.
We are.
And I know it was When I'm Cleaning Windows.
That's one of his songs, yes.
That's one of his songs.
Anyway, he'd have it under his chin. You don't know. He'd have it under his chin. He'd be going, that's a ukulele or whatever it was he used to.
Yeah, but he's playing his ukulele.
And then he'd suddenly stop and say, turned out nice again, and carry on playing. So...
turned out
how would
nice
he describe
again.
The weather? Turned out nice again. You have to say it in his voice, by the way, otherwise it's not even remotely funny.
It reminds me of Morecambe and Wise when they're sitting on a park bench and the camera angle is a mid shot. It's just going from their chests up to their heads. And Ernie said, "Nice out." Eric said, "Yeah, I think I'll take mine out too."
Yeah. Or one of the funniest things he ever said when they were playing they were playing Romans, And Eric turned up, and Eric turned up, and Ernie said to him, "Have you got the scrolls?" He said, "No, I always walk like this." That's funny.
I love it. That is funny. That is funny. What isn't funny sometimes is the bill you get when you've had an electrician round.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Oh, well.
I mean, again, this, electric shock scare stories, we've written, believe it or not, they're all true. I mean, this is something you should not mess with at home. You think you might get away with it. You think you might, I'll try a bit of roofing. I'll go up to my first floor and do something, or I'll lean out of a window. Electrics, it's like getting a whack from Anthony Joshua. You do not want to risk your life, do you?
No, you don't. No, you see, electrics is clean and it's dry and there's no smell.
Yeah.
There's no water going to suddenly hit you in the face. The house isn't going to fill with gas. Essentially, if you don't touch the correct, if you don't make one little mistake, you're going to do the job. But that little mistake will kill you.
That's why these guys charge, because again, Chris and I have both done the course. You've got to do the course. You've got to be tested, and you've got to have all of the gear. And the reason they've got this expensive testing gear is because it saves their lives and it makes their work easier and it makes it accurate. But they will test things all the time, and there are little vagaries that you may not know, and you will forget that. What happens is you're testing something and you're redoing a socket or whatever, and you turn it off at the mains and then back on to test this, off at the mains, and you may have a problem. You may have a break in a cable. So you're turning it off and on so many times, you forget that sequence. And how many times have you gone back to it, Chris, and you think it's off, but it's on, and you think, oh, thank goodness I put my tester on that.
Yeah, indeed. Or some DIY has been messing about with the ring circuits 10 years ago, and there's suddenly one that isn't fused at all. We've all discovered that. Where the hell's this cable coming from? How come I've turned all the power off and the bloody thing's still live?
I did a job in Twickenham last year, and I had the power turned off at the main fuse. I even pulled out the 100 amp fuse that was there, and there was an outside light, and it was still live.
You're joking?
No. Ooh. And it was a set of flats, Chris. So someone must have wired it into someone else's.
Probably unknowing.
Now,
without even realising. Yeah.
Yeah. So I couldn't then turn the other people's power off because I couldn't get hold of them. Well, and I just didn't want to. You don't know if they've got computers, so I did it live.
Yep.
As we do. But you've got to know what you're doing to do it live. You've got to take the right precautions. Yeah, I got my old. I got my wooden steps out rather than my alley steps, and I had my trainers on. I had a pair of, so you've got to be careful. So electrics, don't take the risk. MDF cupboards, Chris.
Oh, I don't. This isn't one of my
MDF units.
No, I can't deal with it.
No, but I don't like it, but I tell you, I bet there's good money in it.
Yeah, but it lasts. It's always 2 days' work. Always in someone's living room. Always making a huge amount of mess. And then you bring an 8x4 sheet in, or try not to, and you take a chunk out of the whole ceiling. It's just not worth it. It just doesn't do anything for me. You can't. You want to plane just another millimetre off the edge of the door you're making. You got to take the damn thing outside and put it in your workbench. No, I can't bear it. Anyway, you like it though, don't you?
No, I hate it. No, I hate doing it for all of those reasons. I hate working with MDF. But what I'm saying is, chippies will charge blooming good money to build bespoke MDF units, and all it is MDF. And if you like it, it's very easy. But you and I hate it, so we're moving on. Kitchen fitting, Chris. Kitchen fitting.
Oh, we've done that, Pooch. I think we've knocked the bottom out of that one in another podcast, have we not?
Yes. Shall we just say that it is that actually, in this instance, it's probably not the kitchen fitter who earns the money. It's the kitchen companies. They earn a fortune. So if you want a bit more advice on that, look for our kitchen fitting podcast. This now, I hate this one, but I used to do a lot of it. Guttering, Chris.
Oh, right. No, guttering is a nightmare, an utter nightmare. There's only one thing to do, and that's rip the whole lot off and start again. That's the only way you can guarantee a guttering job's going to work.
Yeah, and that's what we put a tip, get the whole lot replaced so that, because funnily enough, when I did this job up on our friend's roof the other day and did the extractor, the outlet, the flue. And they said, "Oh, let me give you some money." I said, "Do you know what? I don't want any money, because I'd rather not have the money and be beholden in case it leaks than have the 50 quid that I would charge you for 10 minutes work." So that's the whole point. If you get a leak fixed by a guy, he won't guarantee it, because on one joint they will only guarantee it if they redo the whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you're going up to a guttering joint and putting silicone into it, you might call it filleting the joint with silicone. Others might call it a botch.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, if you say to the customer, "Well, I can do a botch job, which will cost you 60 quid, or I'll replace all of your guttering, which will cost you 550, you know what they're going to go for.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So really, they're the cowboys, not us.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Right. Number 8, Chris. What is in building terms, the modern day equivalent of witchcraft? It's a job that you do, and it's like magic. Goes on walls and ceilings.
Plastering,
yeah. A bag of pink dusty stuff that turns into a load of slop, and then it incredibly is this 3mm sheet of glass on your walls and on your ceilings.
Well, it is if you can plaster.
and that's the whole thing. Now, I do like plastering. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and it's got an end. When it's done, it's done. And that is one thing that a punter cannot do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the only trade that is not mimicable by the public. Absolutely, yeah.
I mentioned in another podcast, a mate of ours, a guy on site. He's kind of a labourer, come bricky bits and pieces. I won't mention his name, but he said, "Oh, I said, you plaster?" Because we had a whole load. He said, "Oh, I do a little bit, here and there." You can either plaster or you can't plaster.
Yeah, indeed.
It's like saying, "Can you walk?" Well, I can do 2 or 3 steps. No, you can either walk or you can't. And so that's why plasterers will charge. And bear in mind that they're not charging the kind of money that the Oxfam CEO earns. They're just. I mean, they might get up to similar things in their spare time, but they're only charging you 250 quid a day.
Oh, do they charge that now?
They do.
Is that without their labourer?
I have got a great guy who charges that without his labourer. He does it all on his own. He's fit as a flea. Brilliant guy. I can say his name actually. His name is Pierre. English guy, French name. His dad just liked the name, and he is fantastic. It's even as a builder, it's a joy to watch him work. The way he gets it all knocked up, the way he's doing one thing, and he's basically spinning plates and plastering.
You do need a labourer when you're plastering, Pooch. God almighty, it makes the job 60% easier.
Not when you're 39 and as fit as this guy. Wow. He likes the exercise.
He gets it. Now, you just mentioned his name, Pierre. Now, that I've got to tell this lovely story.
Go on, then.
A bloke who I will name, who I worked with for 30 years, a fella called John, who now we had we had a friend. You'll know this bloke called Lance.
Yeah,
Lance. Now, Lance is a perfectly normal bloke, just like any other bloke, right? All right, he's called Lance. Now, John could never deal with the fact that Lance was called Lance, so we always called him that Lance. He called him Lance, of course, because he's from South London, so extend the air. That Lance. And I'm sure if John was talking about Pierre, there might just be a that stuck in front of that name as well.
Because you've written a whole blog on that in inverted commas, which it tends to be used by us in the trades and working classes. It distances you from the subject you're talking about at a polite distance, so that you're not associated with it. So John isn't associated with anyone called Pierre, although he knows Pierre, so he calls him that Pierre or Lance.
That Lance. Yes.
Right.
Good.
Did the F get up to much fencing? That's what we're on next.
Are we talking foils or Arris rails here?
Epee. No, yes, Arris rails.
Yeah, we used to do a bit of fencing. So when people asked if we could fence, yeah, we do a bit of fencing, we said. And no one ever said you can either fence or you can't, mate.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy, And if you have a labourer, you do need a labourer to dig your post holes and knock up your muck. And basically, you just stand there and make sure that post holes are 6 foot apart internally. And then you put your panels in, and off you go. And there's two things about it. I would say this building job is the exterior equivalent of carpet fitting.
Ooh.
Because it looks so... No, what I mean is it just looks so good when it's done.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, this fencing.
Yeah.
I do like it. It gets you away from the house now and again.
Yeah.
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 But no, it is nowhere near. It has nowhere near the finesse of carpet fitting. I don't know how carpet fitters do it, mate. Working to the millimetre every second of every day of their working life. No way.
Viewers, that's Chris and I separately. If you gave us a pile of materials in one field, he's in one, I'm in the other, we could both build a house from foundations, drainage, brickwork, everything, electrics, plumbing, roofing, all the way up, chimney pots, but you would then be left with a house with no carpets because we don't know how to fit carpets.
We get some bugger in. Oh, we've both done it. In fact, I've got a carpet bumper in the shed, but there's no, I'll refit them when I've pulled them away from the skirting board. But there's no way I'd take a roll of carpet into a room and pretend I knew how to fit the damn thing.
No, and literally my cuts do look like a pig's ear.
Oh, yeah. Because your knife's never sharp enough for a start. They must go through 400 blades a week.
Right, we're on the last one, Chris. It's been quite a long podcast. Changing a WC, changing a bog. Plumber coming in. I mean, it's not a nice job.
How could this be put into this list?
You're thinking about the wrong thing. You're thinking about nice jobs. I'm thinking about lucrative jobs. A plumber will come in and charge you a blooming fortune for that because you do not want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He'd rather, as you said, be in his villa in Menorca, and he doesn't want the job, so he'll just put a massive price in. Yeah. And when you've been waiting for a month and no one else has got back to you, you have to go for his big price because you're not going to do it.
Indeed, and it will not go. It will not be straightforward for him. All the usual problems will arise, except you're covered in brown stuff this time, as well as all the usual.
Exactly. So they will be charging a lot of money. Anyway, so I think that's covered. It's now time for, should we call it Sunday morning questions? Is it Sunday morning?
That's a good definition, mate. Yes, well done. Well spotted.
All right, it's time for Sunday morning viewer questions. Right, welcome back to the Building Shares podcast. We're moving on to viewer questions, and as usual, we have one from via email to buildingsheriff.com, one on Twitter, and one on Facebook. And let's get straight into it, Chris. And on email, Flora in Edinburgh asks, I'm having a shower cubicle installed. I am debating whether to have the tiling to go either up to the top of the cubicle. Should I say that again without your chair creaking?
No.
Okay, top of the cubicle, about 6 foot, she puts, or right up to the ceiling. What are your thoughts?
Well, top of the cubicle. You don't need it any higher than that. You just because the shower head is about a foot below the top of the cubicle, so you're going to tile a foot above the highest point that water emits from. That's all. Because it'll look daft if you go above. Because then you'll see the edge of the tiles on either side of the cubicle.
Yeah, a lot of people do go above, and I did one recently where they wanted to go right to the top, Chris, and I recommended against it, and I showed them that the ceiling wasn't completely level, but we did it, and I put a trim on the front, but it went right up, and what happens is you always have a cut near the top, and it just accentuates the fact that the ceiling isn't perfectly level with the walls. So yeah, Flora, Chris is right. Let's go straight to the level with the top of the cubicle. Right, Twitter, Chris. Now, trending. Oh, you'll be all over this. But you can obviously tell me what's trending today because I know you'll be all over this story. Well, I'll just, obviously the viewers probably won't have heard. They're very busy people. Jennifer Aniston has split up with Justin Theroux, Chris. Hold on. And Brad Pitt single. And apparently we all want it to happen for them to get back together.
Do we now? No, I prefer Jennifer to pop round here for half a day first, though.
I'm sure you would. I wouldn't mind Brad Pitt popping round, to be honest. No, apparently we all want it to happen, Chris. Everyone's all over this. Oh, please make it happen. Please let them get back together. They were so good together.
Well, first of all, I don't have a single view on the subject at all. I couldn't give a monkey's whether they ever see each other again. And how do we know they were good together, for God's sake? Obviously, they weren't that bloody good, otherwise they wouldn't have split up, would they? No, I mean, Jennifer Aniston is one of the loveliest women on the planet. So I do have a soft spot for her, along with every other bloke on the planet, probably. And I hope she's very happy indeed in whoever she chooses for her new beau.
Okay, so but you're not getting on this campaign. No.
Good God, man! I've got the garden to dig.
But honestly, sorry, I know we want to get onto this question. We got at Guildford Gasman waiting. Right. However, I just don't see how you can not get onto this campaign, because it's these two. It's a Hollywood royalty. It's destiny. It will make all our lives complete if Jen and Brad are back together.
No, there are several things that would make my life complete, mate. None of them involving Hollywood personalities.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, Guildford Gasman, sorry for the wait. At Guildford Gasman says, I'm a gas safe registered fitter. Ooh. My standard day rate is $250 a day. I do a highly specialised job. Will you please let your listeners, I think he means viewers, know that this rate is completely normal?
It is in Guildford, I assume. It might be a few quid less up in Stenhouse Muir, but it's normal because he and all his pals charge it. And for all the reasons we've mentioned earlier, it's not excessive. And
if you want to have a look at that, go on to buildingsheriff.com/tradesman's day rates, and you'll be able to find out what people charge across the country. And I'm afraid there's no point complaining. If you're at home and you need your boiler changing and you can't do it, well, you've got to get someone in to do it. And you can't bemoan the fact that he wants to earn a living and he's good at it and you're not. Just as when Chris gets divorced next, his solicitors are going to...
They'll be charging that a bloody hour, never mind a day. And do you get a nice new boiler at the end of it? No, you don't, mate. No, you're just as divorced. Or not divorced, No, they're far better value than solicitors.
And if you think about your boiler and you think that'll last you 10 years and you divide that by the £1,000 it cost to have it fitted or whatever, then you'll find that per day or per minute, it's very, very good value indeed. And it's safe, and your family will not you won't have to worry about carbon monoxide, all that kind of business. So, yeah, Guildford Gasman, you go, mate.
Yeah,
all good. Right, finally, we move on to Facebook. And Chris, as usual, the viewers want to know what your Facebook status is today.
I'll tell you what, I'm an negative anticipation. That's my status. Because my lovely wife has told me we've got to go on a walk this afternoon. But
really?
Luckily for me, which I don't enjoy at all. I've got no interest in going on a walk. And she says, I can't even take my digital recorder with me. She says, because she's not listening to me repeating 1,000 Portuguese words while we're doing a 2-mile hike over the Yorkshire moors. No, but there is a drink at the end of it, I'm very pleased to say. So,
why don't you... Chris, this is how I would arrange my life. I would say to Joe, fine, you go for the walk. I would order an Uber and I'd meet her at the pub.
No. This is about... it's not male bonding. What's it called when men and
quality time?
Yeah, quality time. That's it. Yes.
Nice. Well, you do that. Joe and I are going to go and do some of that this afternoon. So we're going to go on a boat ride.
Are you? What? Yeah. What, from Hampton Court to Kingston and back?
Something like that. Yeah. And the weather is glorious outside, and it's absolutely it's bright sunshine, Chris. It's lovely.
Bloody Southerners.
Oh man. Yeah, I know. Okay, Mark in Huddersfield asks, can I fit a soft close loo seat to any loo, or does it need to be a special one?
A soft close loo seat?
Have you seen them? They when the loo's up, when a gentleman's been using it or lady's been using it, and the whole the seat is up, as you bring it down, it's like it doesn't just slam down onto the pan. It's kind of got this gas-filled thing, and it just goes down slowly. Oh, you might need me to answer this one for you, Chris.
Fire away, mate. You're obviously way ahead of me technology-wise.
Yes, well, we're moving into the 1980s here. I've only been fitting them since about 1989.
I've never heard of the damn thing.
Yeah, they're very good. You go into posh hotels, and as you go for a wee, and then you close the loo seat, you just tip it forward, and it goes down very, 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 very slowly and nestles down on the pan. And Mark, yes, you can just buy one of those and it'll be unscrew the 2 screws at the back, lift that one out and put the new one on. So, yes, soft close, loose seat. What will they think of next, Chris?
What will they think of next, mate? Yes, let me think now. No,
Yes,
I'm not them, so I can't think of it.
Time to go, I'd say. I am going to get prepped for my... I'll get my life jacket on and my sou'west. Oh, no, I live down south and the weather's lovely, so I'll probably be okay in a T-shirt. You get your sou'wester on and go for your walk with your wife that you don't want to
I'll tell you
on.
what I'm wearing in the house, all right? I've got a T-shirt on. It's old.
Yep.
I've got a thermal vest on with long sleeves. And I've got an Erkin Great jumper on, okay? And the room's heated. And I'm inside, mate, for God's sake. God knows what I'm going to do when I want to go on this blessed walk this afternoon.
Now, that description of your attire, Chris, may have... Jennifer, if you're listening, he lives in Wensleydale. May have her racing around there. She's single, Chris.
Yeah. That would drive her mad, I would think. Yes, and I'm wearing some 25-year-old moleskin trousers as well, and they're particularly misshapen, Jenny.
Would you call her Jenny or Jen?
I'd call her whatever she told me to, mate.
Well, on that note, I'm off. So good day, good night, good evening, goodbye, viewers.
Mm-hmm. And from me, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Sooty, always in mischief, Sooty. Always the beachy trouble's always brewing. But really, we must be fair. He's the cutest, sweetest, lovable teddy bear.
Okay, Sooty, take it away on the xylophone. Ladies and gentlemen, Sooty.